The first time I saw my husband cry, we'd been married for 12 years. It wasn't at our wedding. Not when our daughters were born. Not even when his father passed away. David had always been the strong, silent type, the man who kept his emotions locked away behind a wall of composure and practicality. But that Thursday night, I found him sitting in our garage with his head in his hands, shoulders shaking, tears streaming down his face. "David, what's wrong? What happened?" He looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes and said 5 words that changed everything. I can't turn him away. Please like, subscribe, and comment where you are listening from. It started 3 days earlier when David came home late from work. This wasn't unusual. He managed a construction company and often worked past dinner. What was unusual was the troubled expression on his face. "Everything okay?" I asked as he kissed my cheek. "Remember Carlos? The new apprentice I mentioned a few weeks ago?" I vaguely remembered. David occasionally talked about the guys on his crew, but I didn't pay much attention to the details. Maybe? He's 17. Smart kid, really talented with his hands. Anyway, I found out today that his situation at home is bad. Really bad. I continued chopping vegetables for dinner. "That's unfortunate. Is there something the company can do? Like connect him with resources or something?" David was quiet for a moment. His stepfather beats him, Jen. I saw the bruises today when his shirt rode up. When I asked him about it, everything came out. His mom is too scared to leave, and he's been taking the hits to protect her and his little sister. My hands stilled on the cutting board. That's horrible. Has he reported it? Called the police. He's terrified. Says it'll make things worse. He's been sleeping in his truck in our work parking lot for the past week because he can't go home anymore. I set down my knife and turned to face my husband. "David, that's terrible, but what can we do? This is a matter for social services, for the authorities. You can't get involved in something like this." He looked at me with an intensity one rarely saw. "I'm already involved. The kid works for me. He's talented and hardworking, and he's living in his truck because he's protecting his family. How can I just ignore that?" I'm not saying ignore it. I'm saying there are proper channels for this kind of thing. You could help him find a shelter, or he doesn't want to go to a shelter. He just needs a safe place to stay until he turns 18 in a few months and can legally rent his own place. My stomach dropped. "David, no. Don't even think about it." "Think about what?" "You know exactly what. We are not bringing a stranger into our home. We have 2 young daughters. We don't know this kid. We don't know what he's been through or what he might do." David's jaw tightened. "His name is Carlos, and he's not dangerous. He's a scared kid who's been dealt a terrible hand. And I feel for him, I really do. But our responsibility is to our family first. To Lily and Emma. We can't risk their safety for someone we barely know." The argument escalated from there. David accused me of being cold and judgmental. I accused him of being naive and reckless. We went to bed angry, sleeping on opposite sides of the mattress, with a canyon of resentment between us. The next day, David barely spoke to me. He left early for work and came home late. When I tried to bring up the conversation, he simply said, "I'm handling it," and disappeared into his workshop. On day 3, I found him in the garage crying. "I want to check on him tonight," David said, wiping his eyes. "It's 40 degrees outside, Jen." He was curled up in the back of his truck with a sleeping bag that's so old it's practically threadbare. He was doing homework by flashlight because he's determined to graduate. When he saw me, he was embarrassed. Apologized for parking in our lot. Said he'd find somewhere else to go. David looked up at me, and in his eyes I saw something that shook me to my core: disappointment. In me. I told him he could use the shower at work and that I'd bring him breakfast tomorrow. But I wanted to tell him he could stay in our guest room. I wanted to tell him he had a safe place. And I couldn't because I knew you'd never forgive me. I stood there, feeling the weight of his words. "David, it's not that simple." "Yes, it is," he interrupted. "It's exactly that simple. We have space. We have resources. We have the ability to help, and we're choosing not to because of fear. It's not just fear. It's being responsible. It's protecting our children." From what? From learning compassion? From seeing what it looks like to help someone in need? I opened my mouth to respond, but found I had no answer. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake thinking about David's words, about this boy I'd never met, about the kind of person I'd become. When had I gotten so afraid? So closed off? So convinced that protecting my family meant shutting out the rest of the world? At 2 a.m., I got up and went to our home office. I pulled up David's work emails, something I never did, and found the thread about Carlos. There were messages from other crew members, all vouching for the kid, talking about his work ethic, his respectful demeanor, how he always volunteered to help others. Then I found a photo, a crew picture from a recent job completion. And there he was, a skinny kid with a bright smile, standing proudly next to a structure he'd helped build. He didn't look dangerous. He looked like somebody's son who was sleeping in a truck. I thought about Lily and Emma, asleep in their warm beds with their stuffed animals and nightlights. What if someday, through some terrible twist of fate, they needed help and someone turned them away because it was too risky or not their problem? The thought made me physically ill. The next morning, I called David before he left for work. "Invite him for dinner," I said. "What?" "Carlos. Invite him for dinner tonight. I want to meet him." There was a long pause. "Jen, I'm not going to parade him in front of you for approval like. That's not what I'm doing. I want to meet him because if he's going to stay in our home, I need to know him. And I was wrong to dismiss the idea without even meeting him first." Another pause. "Are you serious?" "Yes. But David, I need you to understand that I'm scared. I'm scared of the unknown, and I'm scared of making the wrong choice. But I'm more scared of teaching our daughters that safety means selfishness." I heard my husband's breath catch. "Thank you," he whispered. Carlos came to dinner that night. He was polite almost to a fault, standing when I entered the room, asking if he could help with anything, thanking me repeatedly for the meal. He was painfully thin, and I watched him force himself to eat slowly, like he was afraid of appearing too hungry. Emma, our 7-year-old, asked him directly, "Are you really living in your truck?" "Emma," I gasped, but Carlos just smiled sadly. "Yeah, I am. But it's okay. Your dad has been really kind to me." "That's not okay," Lily, our 10-year-old, said matter-of-factly. "Nobody should have to live in their truck. We have an extra room." I looked at my daughter, surprised by her directness. She looked back at me with innocent clarity, waiting to see what I'd say. "Lily's right," I said, my voice catching. "We do have an extra room. Carlos, would you like to stay with us? Just until you turn 18 and can get your own place." The boy's eyes filled with tears. "Mrs. Chin, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. We're offering." That was 8 months ago. Carlos did stay with us. He took over our guest room and immediately tried to make himself useful, insisting on doing chores, helping with repairs, tutoring the girls in math. He was quiet and respectful, always aware that he was a guest in our home. But gradually, he became more. He became the person who made Saturday morning pancakes, the one who taught Emma how to ride her bike without training wheels, the one who helped Lily build her science fair project, the one who made David laugh over their inside jokes from work. He became part of our family. Last week, Carlos got his acceptance letter to trade school with a full scholarship. The celebration at our dinner table was louder than any birthday party we'd ever thrown. Later, after the girls had gone to bed, Carlos approached David and me in the kitchen. "I want you both to know," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "that you saved my life. Not just because you gave me a place to stay, but because you gave me hope. You showed me what a real family looks like." I hugged him tight, this boy who I'd been so afraid to let into our home, and realized that he hadn't just taken from us, he'd given us something invaluable. He'd reminded us of who we wanted to be. I judged my husband too harshly that night in the garage. I thought his compassion was recklessness. I thought his empathy was naivety. I thought his willingness to sacrifice our comfort was selfishness in disguise. But David saw something I couldn't, that real security doesn't come from closing our doors, but from opening our hearts. I was wrong about my husband. And in being wrong, I learned the most important lesson of my life. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is let someone in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more emotional true stories every day.